Hello, YouTubers. Have you ever wondered whether free will actually exists or if it's just an illusion? It's a debate that's raged on for millennia. Well, I'm here to add my 2 cents. As always, I welcome your comments. I'm not going to beat around the bush. Free will is just an illusion. Does this mean that free will doesn't exist? Well, yes and no. An illusion isn't real in that it technically doesn't exist. In one way, an illusion is the opposite of reality because something is perceived that isn't real. However, the act of perceiving an illusion is, in itself, a reality. So even if the illusion isn't technically real, the experiences and knowledge gained from the illusion certainly are. Free will is the illusion created by the absence of knowledge / the amount of information entropy in the brain. I personally find the view that we are predestined very comforting. I'll make a video about why sometime soon. How is free will caused by the absence of knowledge? Well, consider playing billiards. If you knew everything about the pool table and the pool stick, that is, the exact position of the balls, the exact angle and amount of force applied to the ball, the friction of the table, the imperfections in the table, and so on and so forth, then you could predict with 100% accuracy where the ball would go. Actions that are 100% predictable don't change in the same way that 2 plus 2 is equal to 4 and base 10 isn't going to change. In other words, actions that are 100% predictable are fixed. This also applies to us. If we knew everything about ourselves, our actions would be fixed too. The thing is, we can't know everything about ourselves, the pool table, or likely anything else. We know in part, and we see in part until perfection has come, after all. So, the extent that we are unpredictable, that is, how much we don't know about ourselves, is the extent to which our actions are not fixed. In other words, free will is an illusion created by the absence of knowledge. This is similar to the color black. Black isn't really a color. Rather, it's the absence of color. The Bible agrees with the predestination view, plainly stating that we're predestined based on God's foreknowledge. While we may not know everything about ourselves, God does. It flat out states this in Romans. In Ephesians, it also makes clear that we are predestined. Well, what does science have to say about free will versus predestination? In science, it's not called predestination versus free will, but rather determinism versus chaos. But it's the exact same debate. Newtonian physics was probably our first scientific understanding of the universe. It depicted an orderly universe operated by natural laws. The idea was that things were determined, but that we just didn't know all the laws and forces. When we discovered atoms, the same principle held. If we knew how many atoms and all the information about them, then things would be determined. The discovery of the quantum scale and the Planck scale really shook up the debate. At the quantum scale, The Heisenberg uncertainty principle says that we can either know the momentum or location of quantum particles, but not both. If this principle is true, this means it's impossible to know everything at the quantum scale. Many thought that this was the death kill for determinism / predestination. The more you know, the more you don't know, I guess. After the quantum scale was discovered, the Planck scale was discovered. This is the lowest known level of reality. It is at this scale that the strings of string theory are thought to exist. For example, for the record, I don't agree with string theory. I'm just pointing out the level of reality that scientists are currently trying to understand better. Given the nature of the Planck scale, that it's the universal scale of the universe, it seems more likely to me that the holographic principle better describes what happens at the Planck scale. It may be that information has a much finer resolution, that is, more pixels in the same area when compared to space-time that's outside of black holes, so that one Planck area may not necessarily equate to one bit of data for matter outside of a black hole, but that's similar to how the effects of gravity on Mars are different than the effects of gravity on Earth. But again, the same fundamental laws govern both. So, what have we learned? Well, free will versus predestination is probably most easily understood from an information perspective. Simply put, free will is an illusion created by the absence of knowledge. The Bible seems to agree with this view, given the specific references to foreknowledge and predestination found in Romans. If it's true that at the lowest levels of reality we are computer bits, then this strongly supports the case for predestination. While discussions at this level of reality are speculative, I hope I've presented a strong case for determinism that's backed by logic and evidence.